The river Tenere did not sparkle under the Cretaceous sun. It waited.
The air was heavy, choking on the scent of rotting ferns and the metallic tang of ancient mud.
On the banks, a herd of Ouranosaurus moved with frantic, jerky motions, their instincts screaming that the stillness of the water was a lie. They had come to drink, driven by the relentless heat, unaware that the geology itself was watching them.
Watch the whole video, leave a comment, like, and please subscribe.
The surface of the water remained glass smooth, betraying nothing of the 12-ton nightmare lurking in the silt below. This was no ordinary drift of wood. It was the Sarcosuchus, the flesh crocodile, holding its breath for the third hour.
Locked onto a young male venturing too deep.
Its golden, unblinking eyes set high upon a skull of terrifying geometry. In a split second, the silence was murdered by a hydraulic explosion of water.
The river erupted as the Emperor launched upward, its jaws. 6 feet of bone-crushing leverage, snapping shut with the force of a collapsing building.
There was no escape, only the terrifying realization that a dinosaur was no longer the apex.
Predator here. The water churned red, and then the river returned to its terrifying silence. To understand the Sarcosuchus Imperator, the flesh crocodile emperor.
One must first discard the modern image of the Sahara. In the epoch of the Early Cretaceous,
approximately 112 million years ago, the northern continent of Africa was a biological paradise.
in this broad, verdant theater, the stage was set for an arms race of evolutionary biology.
The dinosaurs had grown to immense proportions. The sauropods thundered across the plains, and the theropods stalked the tree lines.
Nature, in its cold efficiency, demanded a counterbalance to these terrestrial titans.
A predator that could rule the boundary between land and water.
The Sarcosuchus was not a crocodile in the strict modern sense, but a member
Of the Phylosauridae. Evolution granted them a specific, terrifying mandate: size. Unlike the swift, warm-blooded dinosaurs that burned energy frantically, this creature mastered the art of the ambush. It became a living trap, a geological feature that breathed. The journey of the Emperor began, paradoxically, in a state of extreme fragility. Hatching from an egg no larger than a goose's, the infant Sarcosuchus entered a world that wanted to eat it. What set the Sarcus apart was its growth curve. Indeterminate growth.
as long as they lived, and as long as they ate, they grew.
By the time a Sarcosuchus reached its 20th year,
It had surpassed the size of most modern vehicles. By 40, it was a leviathan. The physical ascent of the Sarcosuchus was marked by the development of its most iconic feature.
At the tip of the snout sat the bulla, a bowl-shaped expansion of bone. This bulla was the crown of the emperor,
a signal to all other males in the river system that this territory was claimed.
Watch the whole video, leave a comment, like, and please subscribe.
Imagine the biomechanics involved. A 12-meter, 40-foot animal.
The Sarcosuchus had eyes and nostrils positioned on the very top of its head,
allowing it to remain 99% concealed.
The jaws would open, creating a vacuum that sucked the prey closer.
When the Sarcosuchus clamped onto the limb of a dinosaur, like Lurdosaurus,
was the Sarcosuchus' signature contribution to the art of predation.
No empire lasts forever. The reign of Sarcosuchus Imperator. The great inland seaways and lush river systems of North Africa began to dry up.
As the rivers shrank, the giants were forced into smaller pools.
Was brought to a close not by a stronger predator, but by the slow, grinding gears of geology. Was brought to a close not by a stronger predator, but by the slow, grinding gears of geology. And cannibalism. They could not migrate across the widening dry lands to find new waters. For over 100 million years, the emperor lay buried beneath. The lush paradise had turned into one of the harshest environments on Earth.
Skeletal analysis suggests these creatures took nearly half a century to reach their full magnitude, a lifespan that rivals humans. This slow, inexorable expansion meant that a fully grown individual was not just an animal. The physical ascent of the Sarcosuchus was marked by the development of its most iconic feature, the snout. Extending nearly 75% of the skull's length, the jaws were lined with over 130 stout, conical teeth.
Unlike the serrated blades of a T-Rex designed to slice, these teeth were railway spikes designed to grip and crush.
At the tip of the snout sat the bulla, a bowl-shaped expansion of bone that remains
At the tip of the snout sat the bulla, a bowl-shaped expansion of bone that remains a subject of intense scientific debate.
Was it an olfactory chamber to smell rot from miles away?
It likely served both purposes. This bulla with crown of the emperor, a signal to all other males in... The true climax of the Sarcos narrative is not in its size, but in its function.
Sit and wait, predator. There is a specific moment that defines the existence of this creature, the ambush.
Imagine the biomechanics involved. A 12-meter, 40-foot animal weighing 8 metric tons, lying completely submerged.
The Sarcosuchus had eyes and nostrils positioned on the very top of its head, allowing it to remain 99% concealed.
When the moment of truth arrived, the strike was a marvel of physics. The tail, a massive paddle of pure muscle, would sweep sideways, generating immediate thrust.
The jaws would open, creating a vacuum that sucked the prey closer. When the jaws clamped down,
they exerted a bite force, estimated at 18,000 pounds-ton.
To put this in perspective, this is nearly unimaginable compared to
the animal kingdom of today. It is a force capable of crushing a compact car.
When the Sarcosuchus clamped onto the limb of a dinosaur like Lurtosaurus, the initial bite broke the bone.
This was the climax of its evolutionary design. In these moments, the Sarcosuchus was the undisputed god of the river. It regulated the ecosystem, culling the weak and the sick, forcing the dinosaurs to adapt or die.
Watch the whole video, leave a comment, like, and please subscribe.
It was the check and balance of the Cretaceous, preventing the herbivores from overrunning the lush deltas. Its contribution was fear. It forced the land dwellers to respect the water, shaping the migration patterns and behaviors of an entire continent's fauna.
No empire lasts forever. The reign of Sarcosuchus Imperator was brought to a close, not by a stronger predator, but by the slow, grinding gears of geology. As the Cretaceous period progressed, the climate began to shift.
The great inland seaways and lush river systems of North Africa began to dry up or change course. The specialization that had been the Sarcosuchus' greatest strength became its fatal flaw.
A creature of that size requires massive amounts of food and deep, wide water to hunt.
As the rivers shrank, the giants were forced into the belly. They could not migrate across the widening dry lands to find new waters. The world was moving on, becoming drier, forcing a transition that the giant crocodile could not follow.
Smaller pools, leading to overcrowding, starvation, and cannibalism.
For over 100 million years, the emperor lay buried beneath the shifting sands of the Tenere Desert. The lush paradise had turned into one of the harshest environments on Earth. A cruel irony that preserved the bones of a water giant in a land without water. The twilight of the Sarcosuchus is also the story of its rediscovery.
In the mid-20th century, and later through the expeditions of the Sarcosuchus returned to the public consciousness, not as a sluggish lizard,
but as a SuperCroc, reclaiming its title as the nightmare of the ancient world. The legacy of Sarcosuchus Imperator is not merely written in the fossil.
It is etched into the primal fear of every creature that approaches the water's edge.
While the species itself vanished, the design was so perfect that nature has essentially kept it.
It's merely scaling it down for modern times. When we look at a Nile crocodile today,
we are seeing the diminished shadow of the emperor.
Watch the whole video, leave a comment, like, and please subscribe.
The Sarcosuchus serves as a humbling reminder of the scale of life that
planet once supported. It challenges our perception of dominance.
we often think of the T-Rex as the ultimate king of the prehistoric world.
But at the water's edge,
Even the tyrant lizard king might have hesitated.
The Sarcosuchus teaches us that in the grand narrative of history,
Power is situational. On land, the dinosaurs ruled.
but in the murky, silent depths of the river, where the light fades and the water cools, the Emperor waited.
And in the silence of the fossil record, if one listens closely enough,
one can still hear the snap of those terrible jaws,
reminding us that we are guests on a planet that once belonged to monsters.